Well, hello and welcome to the DaveCast for Thursday, September 3rd. I think we're going to have a very interesting program today that we have actually been setting up for the last couple of episodes as we consider this section of Exodus commonly referred to as the Golden Calf story. And today we are primarily looking at what I call the second half, which is sort of the big showdown. And I'd encourage you to go back and listen to the previous couple of episodes if you didn't hear them, because I went into some of the theological aspects of the first half of the Golden Calf story that sets this up. But basically, you have what's happening on top of the mountain and what's happening on the ground. And today, those two are coming together. And so just an ever so quick review of that in a nutshell. Moses is up on the top of the mountain, talking with God and receiving instructions and plans for the tabernacle. For 40 days, he's been up there. Meanwhile, down on the ground, the people are getting antsy. Moses has been gone for a long time, and they assume he's dead since, after all, they saw him disappear into a pillar of cloud and smoke. And who could survive that? So they go to Aaron, who's been left in control, and Aaron doesn't handle it very well. I'll tell you from personal experience, it's hard to lead people when they are anxious. And so my heart kind of goes out to Aaron, but he handles this just miserably. And so I'll point out a couple of ways that he does that, although they're pretty obvious. But essentially, Aaron has them bring all their gold jewelry, and he boils them down and builds this golden calf or bull, and they start worshiping that golden calf. Up on the mountain, God sees this. He's infuriated and tells Moses he is going to wipe them all out and just start over again with just Moses. And Moses talks him down from this, reminding God about his own character, of his mercy and his love, but also, and this is weird to me, by appealing to God about protecting his reputation. What will all the Egyptians and all the other pagan people think if you get angry and destroy your people? And Moses gets God to change his mind. And again, go back to episode 26 where I talked through some of the theological quagmires of this section. And now Moses is headed down the mountain, and we are ready for the big showdown. So let's read about this. When Moses approaches the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, his anger burned, and he threw the tablets out of his hands, breaking them to pieces at the foot of the mountain. And he took the calf the people had made and burned it in the fire, and then he ground it to powder and scattered it on the water and made the Israelites drink it. He said to Aaron, "What did these people do to you that you led them into such great sin?" "Do not be angry, my lord," Aaron answered. "You know how prone these people are to evil. They said to me, 'Make us gods who will go before us.' As for this fellow Moses who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." And so I told them, "Whoever has any gold jewelry, take it off." Then they gave me the gold, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf. If the scene wasn't so tragic, it would be funny. What is Aaron in middle school or something? Yeah, I just walked out of the store and the candy was in my pocket. I have no idea how it got there. Aaron was like, "Moses, I don't know how this calf got here. Yes, I did throw the gold in the fire. And then came this calf. Out came this calf." Really, Aaron? So Moses is furious, and he throws down, he breaks both the tablets, and then he destroys the calf. I do think it's important to keep in mind that this is not Moses' first reaction to what the people had done. Remember, God had already revealed it to him. And so when he sees it himself, though, his anger gets really hot. And Moses shatters the tablets because the people had shattered their relationship with God. And then Moses thoroughly destroys the idol and makes them drink the ashes mixed with water. And this would kind of remind them of the bitterness of idolatry. But it also kind of reminds me of having a kid wash his mouth out with soap, right? And so that's pretty bad, but not as bad as what's going to come next. So let's just get that out of the table, and let me read you this next section, and then I'll do my best to unpack it a little. Then he said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Each man strap a sword to his side, go back and forth through the camp from one end to the other, each killing his brother and friend and neighbor. The Levites did as Moses commanded, and that day about 3,000 of the people died. Then Moses said, "You have been set apart to the Lord today, if you were against your own sons and brothers," and he blessed you this day. Blessed you? And so, I really don't know how to respond to this section with anything different than what I've already gone over in previous episodes, including just recently in Exodus 26, part 26, as I mentioned. But if you want to find material that will try to justify all this killing and behavior, and that God dictated every word in the Bible, and that it's infallible, and there's no difference in the way God is portrayed in the Old and New Testament, well, have at it. There's plenty of material out there for you to look at. I just find it very intellectually dishonest. And so, again, let me say, if every word of the Bible was chosen by God, then our conclusion must be that at least in the Old Testament period, God was a violent God, burning people alive, stoning them to death for anything that brought him offense, killing tens of thousands for the sin of their king, and commanding his own people to wipe out entire cities and peoples. But if we take the Bible's humanity seriously, we find the possibility that the violence of Scripture is a reflection of the values and theological and moral vision of some of its human authors, not of the God they sought to serve. And I've repeatedly suggested that we judge all other words of Scripture in the light of God's definitive word, Jesus Christ. He taught that his followers were to love their neighbors, turn the other cheek, forgive those who wrong them, and pray for those who persecute them. And so that brings us to the last few verses of chapter 32. And here I do believe we find some hope as we see how Moses has grown as God's leader throughout this whole Exodus experience. And for this, I'll remind you of something I said way back from part 8 of the Exodus series that was on July 1st. So it's been a few months. So let me just replay part of that episode, and then we will look at these next few verses. And so we get to the end of chapter 5, and there's this one conversation that I want to especially point out that happens between God and Moses. It's right there, the last few verses of chapter 5. And what I want to do is I want to talk about it and flag it here, because we're going to circle back down the road and talk about it and the change that happens to Moses. So all this has happened in the first part of chapter 5. Pharaoh blowing off Moses and Aaron's request, and then doubling down on the Israelites with harder work. And now I'm going to read you the last few verses of chapter 5. It says, starting with 22, it says, "Then Moses turned again to the Lord and said, 'O Lord, why have you mistreated this people? Why did you ever send me? Since I first came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has mistreated this people, and you have done nothing at all to deliver your people.'" Now, notice what he's saying. This people. Yes, this people. I think some translations may even say these people. And then it's your people, God. And so notice Moses' distance in his language. He's not saying my people or our people. It's this people and your people, God. And so notice there's no personal investment in the Israelites here. But this is going to change in Moses. These people are going to become my people from Moses. So flag this and remember it for later on down the road. And so we flagged that way back then. So now watch these next few verses at the end of chapter 32, beginning with verse 30. "The next day Moses said to the people, 'You have committed a great sin, but now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin.' So Moses went back to the Lord and said, 'Oh, what a great sin these people have committed. They have made themselves gods of gold. But now, please forgive their sin. But if not, then blot me out of the book you have written.'" Wow, right? What a change. Moses goes from complaining to God about these people and your people to actually asking God to spare them and offer his life to spare their lives. I mean, it's a pretty incredible transformation as we have watched Moses grow as a leader, don't you think? And I think that that is a good place to stop for today. So let's mark it there, and we will pick it back up next week. On Saturday, I'm hoping to do an interview that I think you'll all find very timely and interesting, and we'll have some other special things looking forward to worship this weekend. And so I'll see you back here then, and for now, be safe and keep bringing the hope. God bless.